From Australia, this is the Wireless Institute of Australia with the weekly news service. This broadcast is in text, audio and video and is accessed on WIA.org.au.
Hello there, I'm Graham, VK1WIA. Welcome to 2021. It is the national news for week commencing January 3 in our 26th year of non-stop news. In this edition, WIA Director Secretary Peter VK8ZZ, WIA Director Oscar VK3TX, international news with thanks to Jason VK2LAW, ham radio operational news and Felix VK4FUQ. Worldwide Special Interest Group news with Bruce VK3FFF and Radio Amateurs Old Timers, a message from Clive VK6 Charlie Sierra Whiskey. And, time permitting, we'll be having a look at the Electra Award and on the Q News workbench, Wi-Fi 6. All up and coming in this edition of news from the WIA. Here's Secretary Peter.
The annual general meeting of the Wireless Institute of Australia will be held in May 2021. The format of the event is still to be finalised, but it is likely to be a hybrid event with some actual participants on site and others joining by video conference. Members may also opt to watch the whole event on a streaming service. This has been WIA Director Peter VK8ZZ. Happy and prosperous New Year.
Hi. This is Oscar VK3TX. Have you worked at your station in December? For the amateur radio community, December has been designated as a Yoda month. It is an annual initiative sponsored by Youngsters on the Air that wants to demonstrate amateur radio to youth to encourage them to get licensed, and for younger radio amateurs to get active on the ham bands. All radio amateurs can support this effort by contacting participating stations. An awards program is available for those interested. For more information, visit events-ham-yoda.com/awards. This is Oscar VK3TX for WA National News.
Now, international news with Jason VK2LAW.
Hello, and a Happy New Year to you. We begin this week's international news with news from China. China's radio telescope welcomes the world. With the Arecibo Observatory gone following its collapse, China's 500-metre aperture spherical telescope, or FAST, is opening its doors to the world's astronomers. FAST is the world's largest radio telescope, taking that status from Arecibo after its construction was completed in 2016. According to the French news agency AFP, China's giant telescope is giving the international community of astronomers access to its antennas and radio receivers so they can study radio waves emitted from black holes, galaxies and stars, and even transmit and reflect signals to see what bounces back. News from Europe. People purchasing new passenger vehicles across Europe will be able to benefit from the advantages of digital radio, greater choice, clearer audio, and enhanced data services. Any car radio receiver integrated in a new vehicle, which is made available on the market for sale or rent in the Union from the 21st of December 2020, shall comprise a receiver capable of receiving and reproducing at least radio services provided by digital terrestrial radio broadcasting. The regulation applies to all EU member states, regardless of the status of DAB or DAB+ in each country. Will the new year bring Europe its own system of low Earth orbit satellites? Ralph Squillis, Kilo 6, India Tango Bravo, explores that possibility in a report from Amateur Radio magazine. With 2021 underway, officials in a number of European Union nations will begin a feasibility study for a constellation of low Earth orbit satellites similar to the Starlink project underway by SpaceX. Europe's version of the US satellite constellation is envisaged as being able to give people in isolated areas access to the internet and permit more secure communications for governments. It would reportedly cost €6 billion. The development could lead to a rivalry in space broadband coverage, as SpaceX's own beta version is said to begin service to Europe by February or March of 2021. To the UK, sans EU, Ofcom, the UK regulator, has confirmed its decision to amend regulations regarding the use of 24 GHz short-range radar equipment in vehicles. Short-range radar equipment includes blind spot and collision radars and other driving assistance technology, some of which relies on spectrum. The Wireless Telegraphy Automotive Short-Range Radar Exemption Regulations 2013 allow certain SRRs in cars to be used in the 24 GHz band without the need for a spectrum licence. Ofcom have amended the regulations so that these licence exemptions continue to apply in the UK after the end of the transition period in the withdrawal agreement between the UK and the European Union, which was 11 p.m. 31st of December 2020. And wrapping up this week's international news from the USA, AM transmitter sites sold for logistics. Since 2000, nearly 400 AM radio stations have ceased operations in the US. Transport Topics say the transmitter sites are now valuable real estate for the logistics industry. The report says the familiar real estate adage, location, 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 rings true these days for huge tracts on the outskirts of major cities. Sites that for decades housed huge AM radio towers, but that today command top dollar as e-commerce fuels rising demand for new warehouses and logistics centres. Look no further than the $51 million sale of a 5-acre parcel in Queens, New York, where WFME AM radio station will eventually abandon its existing tower and transmitter site and move it. Prologis, a San Francisco developer that specialises in building warehouses for companies looking to expand final mile capability, is reputed to have been the purchaser. For WIA National News, in Sydney, I'm Jason, VK1WIA.
Now, operational news with Felix, VK4FUQ.
The 2021 AWL Ready Roundup on January 2 and 3 features two new multi-operator categories, Multi-2 and Multi-Multi. Since Multi-2 and Multi-Multi are new categories, there are no existing records, so the high scores for these categories will, by default, become new records. Rules at the link we like in this week's text edition of WIA National News. AWL Ready Roundup is a good warm-up for the CQ Worldwide Ready WPX contest in 6 weeks' time. Rossall Memorial VHF UHF contest takes place all of January. VHF UHF Summer Field Day, Saturday 16 and Sunday 17 January. CQ Worldwide 160 metres CW contest January 29 to 31. CQ Worldwide 160 metres SSB contest February 26 to 28. CQ Worldwide British WPX contest February 13 and 14. International DX CW contest February 2021. International DX phone contest March 6 and 7. WIA John Moyle Field Day 2021. March from UTC 0100 hours on Saturday 20 to 0059 Sunday the 21st. Again, a reminder that all VK and major worldwide contests are listed for the year on the text edition of this, your only official WIA news service. Now, the DX window. January 2021. Special event station HF 2021 HNY, Poland. Now until January 10 celebrates the new year, hence the suffix HNY. Members of the Enigma Club SP2 PBM are operating. Rotuma 3D2. Tony QRV as 3D2AG/P until mid-January on 160 metres, including 60 metres, using CW SSB, RITI and FT8. Netherlands. With the passing of Edward Lonjuk van Halen, legendary guitarist for the band Van Halen, October 6, 2020, a special tribute event station is on the air as PA5150 EVH until January 31, 2021, a few days after Eddie's birthday. For more details and a video, see qrz.com. Portugal, CT. CQ 750 RSI throughout 2021 commemorates the 750th anniversary of the birth of Elizabeth of Aragon, the Queen Consort of Portugal and patron saint of the city of Coimbra. Time to open the Madeira. Madeira Island operation. Active will be CT9-DD8ZX and CT9-DJ9KM from Madeira Island AF014, which is an autonomous region of Portugal comprising 4 islands off to the northwest of Casablanca and Marrakesh, North Africa. Between February the 27th and March the 6th, depending on the COVID-19 situation, their activity will be holiday style on 40 to 10 metres using mostly the digital modes, FT8 and RTTY. Antarctic operation. Alexei is active as RI-01ANT from Antarctica until May 30th, from Russian Progress and Vostok base stations on 40 metres and higher using CW and FT8. Belgium. Special call signs in Belgium during the second lockdown period, that is, until January 31, 2021. BIPT has decided to once again grant permission to apply for customised special call signs. The exceptional conditions only apply to special call signs with an encouraging meaning. Listen and work these. OS2 Hope, OT5 Alive, OQ5 Bekleva, and OT2 Care. Slovenia S5. Members of the radio club Electron Belize are QRV with special event station S520 SAFE until January 31, 2021. Supports the Stay Safe campaign and expresses their gratitude to medical staff and care workers. Let's all hope for a COVID-free 2021. For VK1WIA National News, I'm Felix, VK4FUQ in Ingham.
From Australia, this is the Wireless Institute of Australia with the weekly news service. Available on RF and on demand 24/7 from the WIA.org.au website.
On the award scene, Electra, the Miracle Ship. Electra, the Miracle Ship is an international amateur award organised by ARI Fidenza, an Italian radio club affiliated to the Italian Amateur Radio League, with the sponsorship and the historical consultancy and supervision of the Guglielmo Marconi Foundation and Marconi Museum. Just think of when the great scientists from the radio room of the Electra, anchored in the port of Genoa, turned on the lights of the Sydney Town Hall on the other side of the planet using a radio signal. It's no coincidence, therefore, that Electra was defined as the white ship that sails in the miracle and animates the silences of the world. The award period lasts the whole year of 2021, and each month of 2021 is dedicated to one specific event concerning Electra ship and is associated to a different special call sign.
Now, Special Interest Group News with Bruce, VK3FFF.
Happy New Year. Let's hope this one's better than the last one. Worldwide Special Interest Group News. ARDF, or fox hunting with software-defined radio. A favourite pastime in the ham radio community is where radio operators attempt to triangulate the position of a radio transmission. While it may have required a large amount of expensive equipment in the past, like most ham radio operations, the advent of software-defined radio has helped revolutionise this aspect of the hobby as well. Aaron, on Hackaday, shows us how to make use of SDR for direction finding using his custom SDR-based Linux distribution called Dragon OS. This includes implementation of a software package called DF Aggregator. The software, along with the rest of Dragon OS, is loaded onto a set of networked Raspberry Pis. The network computers can communicate information about the radio waves they receive and make direction finding another capable feature. Aaron has a few videos showing the process of setting this up and using it, and all of the software is available for attempting something like this on your own. Worldwide special interest groups, astronomical. Space Ozscope team listen to the galaxy. We here in the great southern land have always had a reputation for astronomy. It's a great site, low in the southern hemisphere, and there are lots of sparsely inhabited areas free from light and radio interference. Some of the first video from the Apollo 11 landing, for example, came in from The Dish, that large radio telescope at Parkes. Remember our AGM there? Australian hobbyists have formed a group, Space Ozscope, where teams across Australia are building radio telescopes with the plan, which has been delayed by the pandemic, of collecting data and providing it for public analysis. Hackaday says that a secondary goal of the group is to provide better documentation for amateur radio telescope builders. Worldwide special interest groups, Final Frontier, hams and everyday people on a small Indian island east of Reunion and Madagascar Islands are getting ready for something rather different and special. The first CubeSat from Mauritius, MIR SAT-1, is almost on the launch pad. It carries an amateur radio digipeater and is expected to launch to the ISS in February for deployment in May or June. But already, Mauritian students are able to pick up signals from about another 100 satellites in low orbit around the Earth as they prepare for their very own, to be known far and wide as MIR Sat-1. Young people from 5 universities and 12 high schools participated in a workshop organised by the Mauritius Research and Innovation Council from November 30 to December 4, 2020 at Forest Side State Secondary School. Mauritius was awarded the opportunity to build and deploy a 1U Cube satellite through the International Space Station by JAXA and deployed from the Japanese experiment module. The first 1U Mauritian nanosatellite, MIR Sat-1, which stands for Mauritius Imagery and Radio Satellite 1, was designed by Mauritian engineers and an experienced radio amateur from the Mauritius Amateur Radio Society. Special interest groups, low down. Austria receives a 630-metre and 60-metre present. Klaus, OE6CLD, the HF manager of the Austrian National Amateur Radio Society, OEVSV, informs us that the Austrian regulator BMVIT has granted access to the 630 and 60-metre bands for all CEPT Class 1 licensees. Klaus said, "It took some time, 3 years, but we just got a nice present from the Austrian BMVIT. 630 metres is the MF secondary allocation from the previous WRC 12 of 472 to 479 kHz at 1 watt EIRP. 60 metres or 5 MHz is the WRC 15 amateur secondary allocation of 5351.5 to 5366.5 kHz at 15 watts EIRP, 5.133B. Worldwide Special Interest Group, Police. To celebrate the 40th anniversary of the International Police Association Radio Club, IPARC, of Switzerland, look for special event station HB40 Police to be active between January and December 31st, 2021. This Swiss special event is on 160 to 6 metres and frequently on VHF UHF and SHF for the locals. You can set a SCED. Contact Roland, HB9 GSO, QSL via the Bureau or eQSL. A QSO with HB40 Police counts as a club call sign for the IPARC Switzerland and is valid for the Matterhorn Award. Worldwide special interest groups, radio amateur old timers, and it's time to jive with Clive.
Hello everyone, this is Clive, VK6 Charlie Sierra Whiskey, reminding listeners that there is no Radio Amateurs Old Timers Club of Australia's broadcast tomorrow. The first bulletin for 2021 goes to air on Monday, February the 1st. Meanwhile, web page coordinator Andrew, VK3CAH, has updated the broadcast schedule and calendar of events web pages. The broadcast schedule contains full details of all the HF, VHF, UHF, DMR, D-Star and Echolink transmissions for all of Australia, while the calendar of events lists dates and times for broadcasts, committee meetings, the AGM, and luncheon dates and times for Melbourne, Perth and Adelaide. Well worth a look. Simply Google RAOTC and follow the links. On behalf of the RAOTC, I wish everyone a truly happy, safe and healthy new year. And don't forget, the first RAOTC bulletin for 2021 goes to air on February the 1st. 7-3 from Clive, VK6 CSW.
Thanks, Clive. Now a look-see at Rescue Radio. ARRL Amateur Radio Emergency Service volunteers were quick on the scene in the aftermath of that apparently intentional explosion early on Christmas morning in downtown Nashville. The blast disrupted telecommunication systems as the explosion occurred in front of an AT&T switching facility. ARRL Vice Director and Williamson County Emergency Coordinator Ed Hutchins, WB4RHQ, is monitoring the situation and says, "Here in Nashville and the surrounding counties, things are a bit of a mess still. The explosion did a lot more damage than was originally thought. AT&T now has about 30 mobile cell units deployed throughout the area." He said, "The hams are holding a continuous net on a 5-repeater linked system to assist as needed. We are relaying news updates from AT&T and county governments and assisting callers on AT&T to implement wireless calling on their phones. In the future, we may start taking traffic and routing it to the state nets." He added, "The monitoring net on the link system will remain up until AT&T systems begin to come back online." I'm Bruce, VK3 FFF from sunny Bendigo.
From Australia, this is the Wireless Institute of Australia with the weekly news service. Available on RF and on demand 24/7 from the WIA.org.au website.
I'm Graham, VK4BB. This is the National News. This is the Q News Workbench. Today on the bench, let's check out Wi-Fi 6 and the 6 gig band. It's important not to confuse Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi and the 6 gig band, as these are two separate but interconnected topics. Wi-Fi 6 is the Wi-Fi Alliance's new consumer-friendly name for the IEEE 802.11ax standard. The 802.11ac standard has also been renamed Wi-Fi 5. 802.11n is now Wi-Fi 4. The purpose of this new naming protocol is to make it easier for we mortals to identify device generations without remembering the complex 802.11 alphabet soup. So again, Wi-Fi 6 signifies the 802.11ax standard. Now the band plays on the 6 gig band, that is. The introduction of the 6 gig band for Wi-Fi use provides instant gratification for all Wi-Fi 6 users, with enough spectrum to safely deploy 80 MHz or 160 MHz wide channels and greenfield deployments, alleviating concerns of backward compatibility. The 6 gig frequency band could become the VIP lounge for Wi-Fi 6 users, where high throughput rates and congestion-free network access can be instantly achieved. The 6 gig band, also called the mid-band spectrum, spans 5.925 to 7.125 GHz and is divided into 4 bands. All in all, Wi-Fi in the 6 gig band means instant performance increases for Wi-Fi 6 users. While there are still interference issues to be resolved, opening up 6 gig frequency bands for Wi-Fi seems to be the move to ensure this widely used Wi-Fi technology can develop the performance needed for future applications and networks. But then wait, Wi-Fi 6 is ready for carrier network deployment. The Wireless Broadband Alliance has announced the conclusion of 5 trial deployments of Wi-Fi 6 across diverse markets, showing that with wider channels up to 160 MHz and capacity up to 9.6 gigabits per second, it can enable data rates nearly 3 times faster than Wi-Fi 5.
This is VK1WIA. All points of contacts from today's news stories are to be found in print when you read the web editions, www.wia.org.au.
On the social scene, and remember, keep one wavelength away at 144 megs, that's because 2 metres matters. Due to the COVID-19 worsening situation in Australia, please check these events direct for up-to-date status information, and even without COVID dates, many have an uncanny knack of being changed at last moment. In VK4, the TARC Australia Day Long Week Family Radio Camp, January 21 to 26 at Girl Guide Campsite Bluewater. A WISN event at the Ipswich and District Radio Clubhouse. Operators will set up and demonstrate portable and base stations with portable masts, antennas and more, February the 13th between 1000 and 1400 hours. In VK2, it's the Wyong Field Day, Feb 28. In VK3, the EMDRC Hamfest, March the 28th at 10 a.m. Back to VK4, Redfest 2021 happens April 10. Alara Meet 2021 in Bendigo, October 1 to 4. And the Rosebud Radio Fest in VK3, 9:30 a.m, November 14. Now, Reception reports WIA news rebroadcasters often give shortwave listeners a welcome to the broadcast as they commence callbacks straight after the local news. Local news follows the national news in all states, and it would be great if those shortwave listeners would email their reception reports and locations to callbacks@wia.org.au. Callbacks@wia.org.au. Now till next we meet, I'm Graham, VK4BB. Walk softly.
From Australia, this has been the Wireless Institute of Australia with the weekly news service. This broadcast is in text, audio and video and is accessed on wia.org.au.